What do you hear? What do you say? What's on your mind? That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what we look to do, and that's what we do. So I appreciate the feedback, brother, and I'm looking forward to our next time together. I actually will. It is in, October? I believe in Vegas. So, yeah, I'll be there with the Jim Reapers team. And you know what? If you show up wearing one of the Machine Collection shirts we have with them, I'll put the link right here. Actually, I'm wearing one literally right now. Maybe there'll be something special in it for you. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll be there. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, I sure did. And it was just an amazing opportunity. It was just really a couple months ago. Those unfamiliar, 4-Star Leadership is a youth leadership development program. And I had the chance to spend a few hours with about 90 or so, 95 high school aged kids from across the country. Actually, there were some from outside the United States that flew in for it. So just an amazing experience. You know, anytime I get the opportunity to pour some knowledge or some love, some insights into our younger people, I probably get more benefit from that than anybody else in the room. It's a critically important place for us to invest in, is the development of our youth, because they're quite literally our future. So thanks for being there. It was my pleasure. I'll be looking forward to the next one. So hypertrophy is really part of my entire program. It just is prioritized at different points during different phases. And this is something that's still kind of relatively new for me. I didn't even have anything pertaining to hypertrophy or bodybuilding when I was on the teams. So my program now is still somewhat new. It's been a couple years. And it's been fun to play around with it and try different exercises and different training modalities. So it really depends on the phase. My current program is 16 weeks long, broken down into a few different phases. One of those phases is prioritized around hypertrophy. And then as the phases evolve, I will prioritize strength or power. And then hypertrophy will move down in the priority list, but it still remains present throughout. Well, this obviously isn't a question, but I'm going to assume that maybe you're curious as to why. The short answer, I guess, is I'm interested and involved in a lot of different things. And I'm at a different place in my life now at 42 years old and coming up on 20 years of service, where being a team guy will forever be a huge part of who I am. And I will forever be grateful for what I've learned inside this community and the people I've gotten a chance to serve alongside of. But it's not all that I am. And that's somewhat new for me. For a long time throughout my career, like being a team guy, being a Green Beret wasn't really what I did. It was who I was. And that's changed for me. So I'm just interested in different things. And, I talk about the things that are interesting to me at that time. Well, I appreciate it. And that would be one hell of an understatement. Yeah, for sure. Perfect. Yeah, let's do it, man. I do in-person engagements usually 5 to 7, 8 maybe times a month. So it's pretty regular for me. In addition to me, at Precision Components, we've got another 36 speakers and instructors that are out there right now impacting organizations and people within those organizations. So I'll drop the link to the page right here. Reach out and I'll be looking forward to it. I appreciate the interest. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing this up. It's kind of ironic timing. I was on a call yesterday with a good buddy of mine, Adam. I'll tag him actually right here. He's an absolute stud who's about to come onto the team, and we're going to do some really cool stuff together. But we were talking yesterday and this came up. And to put it bluntly, I just think over the last 20 or so years in this GWAT era, our soft units of action have been highlighted quite a bit. And kind of an unintended effect, at least by many or most people, is that our conventional forces and personnel have been somewhat marginalized. Almost like they were just kind of there. And that's not only wildly inaccurate, but I don't think it's right. Soft units of action rely on non-special operations to do our job. We're not doing what we need to do without the support of them, of you guys. So I don't think it's right, and I just have an enormous amount of respect for what you guys do. Right on, man. I appreciate the feedback. Actually, we just had a meeting yesterday or a couple days ago with our creative team on some new designs and some new product that's kind of in the early phases of development. So you'll see some more coming online here pretty soon. Glad you're digging it, and I appreciate you. Yeah, well, first off, if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. And you can have a million responsibilities and obligations and priorities, and I get it. I live in the same world as you. But the instant you have a health problem, you now only have one problem. You have one priority. And unfortunately, most of us abuse our bodies and don't prioritize it until it gets to that point. A huge catalyst for me was going on board with Mindshift Health, functional medicine practice. It was a complete game changer for me. I've been a client of theirs now for a little over a year, and I noticed a difference within about 90 days, and I've still noticed those effects. It's not magic. A lot of it's rooted in lifestyle changes, but having that guidance and those resources from them has been a considerable difference for me. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for cadets that feel like they're at that level where they can give that a shot and be successful. It's not something that they offer, at least I don't think, with every single CDQC class. There's like a system in place, but yeah, it's certainly something to take advantage of if you are a cadet. Tips for success at CDQC: your breath hold is significantly important. As I was training up, it got to a point that I was working my CO2 table and my O2 table every day. That was done on a progression over like 3 or 4 months. I would start my day with my CO2 table, and I would end my day or my evening with my O2 table. And there aren't many shittier ways to start your day than working CO2 tables, because it sucks. But you need to have a strong breath hold for sure. So if you're not already working those two separate means of training, CO2 tables and O2 tables, I would strongly advise doing so. There's a lot of good ones. It's tough to say which one is my favorite. One I use quite often with some of my keynotes or some of my training workshops, or even just I say it to myself, or I'll reference it and read it, comes from Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, which states, "And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?' And then I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" Yeah, very common question. I get this a lot, and it's okay. The short answer is a lot of different things motivate me. Looking at one of my sons, my wife sending me a nice text message, a song that I hear. Like, you can find motivation in a lot of different places, but I can't help but talk about the importance of discipline. Most times the conversation of motivation comes up, because if you are only executing on the things that need to get done when you are motivated to do it, you are going to lose, and you're going to lose bad. You may win a couple battles here and there, but you're going to lose the war, and you're going to lose to the person or the team that's willing to do what needs to be done, particularly when they are unmotivated to do it. We were actually supposed to find out the answer to this question like a week or two ago, when we had a bunch of the team flying to town, and we were here in person working for a few days. We were supposed to actually bust out a tape measure and figure it out, and we all forgot. So the jury is still out on this. I don't know, but what we do know is that Rebecca's got some wheels. I got a wheel myself, so I don't know, but we'll find out and be sure to let you know. Yeah, there's really no rocket science here. It's just the fundamentals of strength and conditioning. It's the training, it's the nutrition, it's the recovery. specific exercise selection does go a long way. That is part of your overall programming. That's really it. There's no like magic solution. But I was in a call with a team over at Machine Strength, and I brought up something that my longest standing coach mentioned to me years ago. Where he said, it's pretty easy to have visible abs. It's also pretty easy to have big traps. It's really hard to have both at the same time. And so we got this kind of ongoing discussion. It's like quasi-humorous, but also rooted in like reality. At Machine Strength, we want to enable those that have the desire to have both traps and abs. The first thing that comes to mind is to not hold any ill will towards your surgeons. Deploy some grace. Nobody's perfect. Things happen. Mistakes happen. You got a game plan, and things don't always work out that way. So holding any kind of anger or resentment in your heart or in your mind is going to be counterproductive. The second thing that comes to mind is focus on the things that you can do right now. A lot of times, especially with injuries, we go into this like victim mentality where I can't do that, or that, so I'm just not going to do anything and just like sit around and wait to be back to 100%, which is, in my opinion, a horrible approach. So you may have some limitations with some specific tasks, but there are absolutely things that you can do right now to benefit you, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So triple down on those things, continuously test the things that you can't, and then get back into the game. It's tough to say with any kind of specificity without knowing exactly what we're talking about, but generally speaking, there is an exception to every policy we have in the military. It really just takes the right person to put their name on the right piece of paper, and then anything can kind of happen. Now, the challenge is getting access to that individual and then being able to influence that individual to doing what you're hoping he or she is capable of doing. So it's tough to say, but I've had to get past, I don't even know at this point, like dozens and dozens of exceptions to policy and medical waivers, especially over the last 13, coming up on 14 years since I lost my leg. I mean, I basically needed a medical waiver or an exception to policy to do like just about anything. Schools, certain training, deployments. So there is a way, just keep swinging. Yeah, I've gotten this question before. I'm pretty sure my answer's been the same every time. Probably the 18 Delta route would have been my next preferred option. I say that knowing how difficult it is to get that job, how much more training is involved in the Q course to get that job compared to the other three. But it's also it's a kick-ass role, and just the significance in terms of conducting even training and operations. You are almost certainly, aside from some outlier examples, you're not rolling out without a medic. Like that's it. So the significance that one or maybe two individuals has on a team is considerable. So just the additional responsibility and the responsibility to take care of my brothers, I think would be pretty awesome. Well, first off, congratulations. I give you a lot of credit. Second is you probably should be nervous. In fact, you probably should be flat out scared, at least a little bit. But I think that's a good thing. I think pursuing something worthwhile, something big, is supposed to be at least a little scary. Would you ask any tips? I'm not laughing at you. It does make me laugh. Man, listen, you got to be, in my opinion, at least a little crazy to go into the entrepreneurial world. Either that or just wildly ignorant to just how hard it is and just how unlikely it is that you are going to make it, almost however you define that phrase. The likelihood of success is just so small. And either way, that hard reality is going to come to the surface. And then for those that are somewhat crazy enough to keep going, like that's really what it takes. So get in there, start swinging punches, and start learning. This is a good question. It's tough to say best or worst, but a couple of things that come to mind. One of the great parts about being a Bravo is you just live in the world of weapons and tactics. We of course have to cross train. We have to be able to do all these other skills, but that's our primary focus, and that's just a fun lane to exist in. One of the challenges is because we are the subject matter experts on weapons and tactics and marksmanship, is the guys on the teams are really good at those things, especially when it comes to shooting. Many of them are going to be better than you. So there becomes this challenge of keeping your ego in check. Even though you're the guy, there are definitely going to be dudes on your team that are better at that skill set, at your specific skill set than you are, and then also can create a greater challenge to impose your influence and to do your job. It's a great challenge to have, but it is one. It's going good. You may be able to tell we're getting slightly more moved in. It's a slow process, but it's going great. And actually, another 2 team members will be moving into the office over the next month or so, and then likely 1 more beyond that, probably a month after that. So it's wild to be in a place in our business where a space like this is justified, and the level of productivity, even just in the last month of us being here, has already proven to be worth every penny of our investment. So it's going great. The team here at the press, they're just world class. I mean, this whole facility is amazing, regardless of what membership option you have. So yeah, we are quite blessed. Yeah, my first tip is to just be a physical animal. I mean, just be a specimen. I don't mean the way you look. I mean the way you can perform. Your physical capability is the foundation of success for SFAS. There are, of course, other elements and attributes that the cadre are there to assess: your leadership, your ability to work as a team, your maturity, your intellect, your character. All those things are important. You got to have the physicality. You got to be able to perform. And when I say perform, you need to be able to perform well above the minimum standards just to get into SFAS. My second tip is, if you're not currently following Pineland University, I'll put it right here. We are about to announce our first open enrollment, and we are going to change the game. Either way, I wish you the best of luck.